Everyone, today I want to speak a little bit about what separates successful people from unsuccessful people. And if you do some research around this, you'll find that it's not necessarily those people who are more talented, it's not even necessarily those people who have more resources, and it's not even those people who are more hardworking. What really separates successful people from people who are not as successful is a key element of consistency and persistency. It's those people who are consistent in their actions, consistent towards the end goal, keep taking small actionable steps and implementing rituals and actions that take them slowly but consistently towards their goals. The question is, how do you actually become consistent? Because whenever you're trying to achieve anything, there will be issues, there will be bumps in the road, there will be challenges that come around the corner. And what I found from the research is that it's the people who are able to fail well. Okay, so this sounds really strange. Why would you want to fail? The fact of the matter is that no matter what you do in life, at some point there will be some amount of failure or even the fear of failure. And you may actually end up failing. It's all about how you deal with that failure. And the person who takes that failure and becomes a victim because of it, does a lot of self-loathing because of it, that's the person who finds it really hard to pick themselves up and move on. Whereas the person who has learned to deal with failure in a constructive manner is able to be resilient, is able to pick themselves up and continue with their persistency and their consistency towards their goals. So how do you do this? How do you become resilient? How do you deal with failure in a constructive way? And it comes down to a very specific thing. It's all about how you choose to define failure. You can either choose to define failure as a definition of your self-worth. And when you define when failure becomes something that defines your self-worth, it becomes really hard to pick yourself up and move on, because what happens effectively is that you say, I'm not cut out for this, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, I'm not smart enough, whatever it may be, whatever the excuses that your mind brings up for you are. Whereas if you can move away from making failure a definition of your self-worth and rather choosing to see failure as a way of learning, as a way of moving towards growth, as a way to discover what not to do. So you fail, and instead of saying, oh, it's because I'm so terrible, it's because I'm not smart enough, etc., you go, okay, so I failed, it sucks, but what can I learn from this? What is this showing me? What is this teaching me? What are the valuable lessons that I can take from this, that I can use going forward, so when I go further on my path, I'm that much wiser because of it? And if you can do this, if you can see failure as a way of learning rather than a definition of your self-worth, then you can be consistent, you can be persistent, and you'll be in it for the long game, and that will determine how successful you are.